Hi, it's Paula. This is the Common Book Show. Today we are here with Richard Ness from, she's originally from Ukraine. And we have, of course, I have James and Brian remotely, and my son Tom on drums. you, you
What
found.
else?
So, anyway, we're here today, and I am going to tell a story about something that I purchased from the Ukraine on Etsy. I'll start the show off this way because we have this guest. I think it's a charming story, so I'm going to tell it. I was looking for a specific wooden swing for my third granddaughter, and I bought one. I bought two of them in the U.S., but when I went back to Etsy, I couldn't find the exact same swing. But I did find it in the Ukraine. This is
Wow.
before the war. And so I purchased it from there, and I thought it never came to me. I picked it up with a bunch, I had ordered a bunch of boxes, and it was in the middle of these boxes of boxes, and I didn't realize that it was in there, and I put it in my basement. And I was waiting for the swing to come, So I contacted the man that I bought it from in the Ukraine, in Kiev, and I said, I never got the swing. So we went back and forth, and he went through insurance, and I got reimbursed. And I tried to find something else that he made that he could send me, and there was nothing else that he made. So, and I had bought another swing in the meantime because it was my granddaughter's birthday. So I got my money back, and I forgot all about it. So a year later, the war's going on. I go in my basement, and I'm looking for the boxes. I find the swing. I'm horrified. I forgot that it was from the Ukraine. I knew it was from someplace else. I'm horrified when I find out it's from the Ukraine because this war is going on. And I'm thinking, if I contact this man, is he still going to be there? Is his family okay? And I'm thinking all these thoughts about the man I bought it from, what he's going through. I know he had children. We had conversations online. I was like panic stricken. So I contact him, and he contacts me back and says, yes, I'm still in business and I'm still here. And he said, we had some problems, but now everything is better now. So I said, I'm sending you the money because I have the swing. And so he says, you don't have to do that. That was a mistake. I said, no, I'm sending you the money because I wouldn't feel right about keeping it. It was like $75 or something. So I sent him the money, and I get a note back from him. I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks later, with a beautiful carved plaque of animals. And he wrote me the most beautiful letter about how nice it was that I was so honest, and that I sent him the money, and that I was so careful about how I talked to him because I was scared for him. And it was the most beautiful letter and the most beautiful plaque. And I thought, why can't everyone just be like this? Why can't the world be like this?
The people, it's a good people and bad people in any country.
Power makes people crazy. I mean, I'm talking about Putin now. But why can't, if the individuals want peace, why do they get caught up in wars that are made by the people in charge? It's like if we all stood up and said we won't do this, but it's been going on since the beginning of time.
Because the psychos run everything.
Because
Yeah, right.
because they're the ones that crave the power. I have no. I wouldn't want to be in charge of anything like that, because it would be there'd be too many people who would be. I would be beholden to those people, but they don't think like that.
Well, that's the thing. The psychos get to run things because everybody else is too busy worrying about how they're going to eat and how they're going to take care of their children and, painting the house next week before it snows.
Yes.
Yep.
It's true. Anyway, that was my story about the man in Ukraine. I was
Cool story.
I have it hanging on my wall. I'm very, very fond of it. It's just a nice little wood carving that he sent me as a thank you. But anyway, I didn't bring anything that I'm reading right now. I'm reading a book right now, Richard, that is called How Not to Die. It's a food, related health book. You would like this guy. He agrees with you completely.
On the importance of diet.
Well, on the importance of plant-based diet. He isn't necessarily a raw food person, but he is a proponent of an all-plant diet. So what's on your list today?
On my list today is anybody know what this is?
No.
Do you know why you don't know?
How
The
would we,
letters are mixed up.
Nope. Because you would have to be between 8 years old and 16 years old to know what it is.
I think I
Yeah.
did ski.
it says
I did ski.
skibidi. Is it a website or something or a
Somebody made a video and put it on YouTube. This person he named the video Skibidi.
uh-huh.
And children between 8 and 16 have already watched this thing. It's only been out 2 months, 101 million times.
Awesome.
That's how popular this is. Now, I'd like to show you a few seconds of this video
Okay.
because to me, it's all symbolism. But the question is what does it symbolize? Why do young people, are they so entranced by it? They must see something in the symbolism that they can connect with. Okay? I have a theory. I'd like to hear what other people's theories are, okay?
Okay.
All right, here it is. I'll make it full screen.
Looks like a video game.
And you see, there's these two warring factions. These people with televisions on their heads, and everybody else is a head in a toilet.
This is cool.
See how they get flushed away? So you see the approval.
What? It's like a video game, isn't it? Is it?
So I'm wondering, do you have any hypothesis as to what's going on here?
Television is flushing your brain down the toilet. That's just my take.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's to me. It looked like. Well, those people in the toilets look very dangerous. They're dangerous people. It looks like there's a dangerous world out there, and the only thing that you can do to control that world is to stare at a screen. That's the first thing that popped into my head. What was?
My interpretation? Okay, I thought about this, and here's what I came up with. Let's see here. I wrote it out. Because of social media and the technological world, young people spend so much time online that they feel they've been reduced to just a head, and that head is disposable. And they're fighting
I like
back.
that.
They're fighting back, but they're losing the battle against media that is trying to dominate them into submission.
I like that a lot.
You think there might be some truth to that?
It sounds logical. That it's kind of the opposite of what I said, which was that the world is dangerous. These dangerous heads, and that the media, because kids are addicted to screens. So for me, if they're seeing these screens that are solving this problem, getting rid of these dangerous things in the world. Of course, the screens are dangerous too.
So what you're sort of saying too is they're absorbing themselves in the internet world and ignoring the horrible reality outside.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Blocking out the terrible reality.
Richard's interpretation is interesting in that so you would think that the kids understand that there's too much, that the media is controlling them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I don't.
Do you think they really do though?
Well, that's
the thing about when you're interpreting art.
Yeah.
You don't really know if you hit it right on the nose.
Right.
no right, and there's.
I mean, I didn't realize that the Mona Lisa wasn't famous until the 1930s. It was just considered another painting. Did you
that's
know
weird.
that?
No.
Yeah. You know why? Why it became
stolen,
famous?
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was stolen and made all the newspapers, and then it was found and it made all the newspapers again, and that's why people started going to see this painting that got stolen and got all this press.
You know what I thought was funny?
What?
I'm standing in the Louvre looking at the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
And when you're in that room, behind you, the entire wall behind you is a painting by the same artist. And no one's looking at this giant wall of a painting. And they're staring at this postage stamp.
Did you think it was the Louvre was chaotic in the way they hung the paintings? There were just so many paintings on the walls. I found it exhausted me.
It's definitely exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even mean because it's a lot to walk around. It's exhausting because there's too much information.
Well, that's part of the point. And like I said, everybody is struggling to get to see the Mona Lisa, so much so that they don't even realize that they're ignoring.
Yeah, the other. I know that. It's funny though that it wasn't famous until the third. I mean, it's so old. It's like 17th century, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and even then, after it was painted, the person who hired, a person hired Leonardo da Vinci, and da Vinci said, "I don't do portraits. It's out of the question." And he said, "But my wife already had her second miscarriage. I want to give her a present." He said, "I don't do portraits." He said, "At least meet her and then tell me you don't do portraits." When Da Vinci met her, suddenly he changed his mind because he couldn't understand how somebody who had been through so much pain was sort of accepting.
Yeah.
Which is the thing about the smile.
Yeah.
You don't see the pain on her face.
Kind of like a Prozac smile. Yeah, she does seem very zen.
Yeah.
I didn't know the story behind it. Are you taking a class online, an art class?
I don't know where I get I get so many sources of information. Mm-hmm. Like this thing about Scabidi, I found out about that through the New York Times.
Oh yeah.
Well, what does it mean? Scabidi.
I don't know. Is it a Ukrainian word?
No.
No?
No. At all.
Did they give any interpretation in the article?
No, they didn't. Which surprised me. In fact, they wouldn't even describe the video. They said, all we can do is tell you to watch it.
Just watch it.
We can't even tell you what you're going to be seeing.
Well, keep in mind the social media gods out of nowhere will delete your account, demonetize your YouTube channel, or even,
Did this happen to you?
thankfully, no, but
Oh.
lots of people that I know. And in fact, Hannah Pearl Davis was demonetized this morning. So
I don't know who that is.
What did she do to get demonetized?
say things like women need to take responsibility and accountability for themselves.
Oh, so she's advocating for men's rights, and that's a no-no?
Well, she would say that she's advocating for female accountability, but people take that as men's rights.
Well, I'd have to see it in order to make a comment on why I think it happened. But and there's a lot of that online now.
Oh, speaking of men's rights, remember I was telling you about this movie about, you know, a man who feels lost and undervalued in the world. So he joins up with this group of men who are going to teach him to take back his power. You want to see the trailer?
Yeah.
Look how violent this movie is. Here it is.
Why are you here, Ralph? I lost my job. The baby's gonna be here pretty soon. No respect.
What do you do with those feelings? You know you could be a part of our family.
I know some guys. They like to help out guys like us.
What, they're like buddies of yours?
The doctor wants me to get a bunch of tests.
Tests are so expensive.
Do you still want to go through with it?
Other guys, like they live with you?
Just like regular families. Except regular folks don't get to choose their family. We do.
How would that work?
Depends on you. Why do we make ourselves so much smaller than we are? Pain. That holds us back.
Take back your power, Ralph!
Welcome, Ralph, son, Manodrome.
But what if I'm just broken?
You have to raise an army inside yourself.
Baby, you really gotta tell me what's going on here.
Watch out for yourself, okay?
There is no God but Ralph. What you decide will be the only thing there is.
So, James,
Yeah.
We're all
I
looking
wonder
at
how
you.
many.
do you advocate for this movie?
I wonder how many already disturbed young men are going to pick up an AR-15 and go kill some people at a movie theater or a mall now.
I'm
that
sure they
movie.
have that planned already. So what we're looking at is
Yeah.
Fight Club 2.0.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
That's what I was thinking too, James.
And do they have a point?
Making money.
And are they tapping into the same cultural ideas that you advocate for?
I wouldn't say so. They're exploiting a particular moment in time, an ethos, a mood. The thing is that we're living in the worst patriarchy ever, and there's a lot of males who feel that pressure of being blamed for everything while not actually having any power and being ground into dust. And therefore, if you say we're going to get together and strike back, there are a bunch of people who find that to be a very attractive proposition.
But a patriarchy is controlled by men. So
That's why I say we're
Right.
living in the worst patriarchy ever because men are being oppressed while women say they are.
Well, you know I don't agree with that shit.
I
But
know.
you know, I am I've been a woman all my life.
Can I
I know.
check?
Not on air. So
Oh, as
the
long
thing
as
is,
you look for it.
I know what I've had to deal with in the workplace, and I know what I have had to deal with in a personal sphere. I have the only, and I know how some women do feel that their sexuality is power, and I object to that behavior.
I'm
So
glad to hear that.
I feel that, you know, you can't, I would never lump all the men together in one group. I've got male friends I've had for my whole life. You know, I'm friends with you.
Imagine that.
I mean, I'm friends. I mean, I've got male friends that I've had all my life, and I appreciate that male perspective because, of course, women and men do think differently.
Well, the thing that I mean when I say worst patriarchy ever is because to hear the things that people say as part of the dominant culture, you would think that women can't get away with anything because men are too busy oppressing them and excusing anything that men do, and that's simply not true.
Well,
It's
yeah.
not true. I was helping students to do their regional test, and it was like a social study, and I came across a very interesting thought: what the difference between suffragist and suffragette and feminist? Do you know?
What's the difference between suffragette and feminist?
Yeah, suffragist, suffragette, and feminists. It's a three different
things? Okay.
categories. So
Yeah.
suffragettes, it's women. They were fighting for have the same voting. They
Vote,
wanted
yeah.
to vote. And
Right.
suffrage, it's from the French word. And the guys, they didn't like the word suffragist, so they changed one letter and start to call this ladies suffragettes. And suffragettes, it's just socially active women. So can you imagine, like, one letter change the whole meaning? It doesn't sound like somebody who are fighting for the right to vote. It's suffragettes. It's like coquettes. They just socially active women.
Like it feminized the word.
Exactly. And so the difference between suffragists, it's about the word suffragettes, it's
Yes.
women who like social active, and feminists, it's women who are fighting for the same equal rights with the men.
Right. Right. I think that everybody should be able to pursue, in this country especially, pursue what will make them happy. And I know that you don't agree that a woman could be happy without the traditional role of that a woman is supposed to play.
No,
But-
what I say is women's happiness is counted in seconds. But in America,
I'm happy.
in America, you are supposed to have a seat at the table. You're supposed to have an opportunity. You are not guaranteed an outcome. And the problem that we have is that a lot of people have this strange idea that a guarantee of outcome is a positive goal to achieve.
I'm not really following you. A guarantee of outcome. Give me an example. I work better with
Yeah, I don't get it.
examples.
For instance, the feminists say that we need to have quotas so that you now have to have one woman on your board of directors because not enough women were on the boards of directors of Fortune 500 and FTSE 500 companies. But the question is, how do you get on a board of directors? Typically speaking, how you get there is you found a company. So it's not that there aren't enough women being chosen. It's that not enough women are making the journey.
Well, not enough women are given the opportunity to
You
make
were
the
not
journey.
given that.
No, because
this is the
if
point. You're not
if you are-
given a
right.
seat.
If you are
have
a
to
woman,
earn it.
if you are a woman, the chances that you will be able to get now it's changing. It's changing. But the chances that you can go and walk into a bank and get the kind of funding that a man could get easily is ridiculously low.
Which men?
Which men? Any man.
No.
It's actually quite opposite because
Well, now I mean I'm saying it's changing for women now.
if you're female, you will be easy. It will be easy to get a loan, business loan, if you're single woman running a business.
Once again, worst patriarchy ever.
Because that has changed over the last 20 years. That's not something that's been granted. I mean, in my age bracket. If I would have wanted to start a business back in the 70s, it would have been very difficult. As a matter of fact, when I was living in New York and I wanted to get a credit card. Now, mind you, I was the only working person in my family. Kenny never worked, right? He was a musician and he did not have a job. When I went to get a credit card at Bloomingdale's was the first credit card I got. They wanted my husband to be on that credit card. And I had to convince them, I had to bring them pay stubs, and I had to convince them that I was credit worthy.
Because women couldn't even get credit cards till 1974.
I was the breadwinner of the family. And they wanted me to have my husband, who had never worked a day in our marriage, to sign off that I could have a credit card.
Yes, because financially speaking, the question was always, what man is going to take responsibility for this loan when you blow it off?
And why would I? I was the responsible party.
Well, see, here's the problem with that. Traditionally speaking, percentage-wise, more women default on financial contracts.
I would
than
like
men.
to see where you get your information on that, because that I do not believe. Because in my experience, women are the ones that pay the bills. Women are the one that they're conscientious about making sure that those things are done before anything else is purchased.
Then why are they lobbying to get their college debts expunged without paying them?
Not just women, men too, because there was a lot of fraud in the education system. I worked in the education system in Florida, and there are schools that are run that do not have any accreditation, and you can get a 4-year fucking degree, and it means nothing. And they have student loans.
And who has
Kind
the
of like
most
Trump
student
University.
loans?
Who has the most student loans? I couldn't tell you that because I've never done that research.
Because it's 60% women and 40% men and falling.
Well, I know that more women are going to college now than men.
Right.
So
if
that would make sense.
If we forgive college loans, who does that lopsidedly benefit?
Well, I can tell you right now that my daughter's husband had student loans and she didn't, because she worked and she did not have a student loan. So I can tell you that. That's one example. And I can also tell you that my nieces, who have all gone to school and are all in positions, one's a lawyer, one's a school psychologist, their student loans are paid off because they got excellent jobs. The people that have left school and are still having to ask, they graduated and they still have to ask, do you want fries with that? Those people have lost in the lottery of life.
I think there's something that gets misunderstood in this conversation. I am not saying that women don't have the capacity to be good, honest people who keep their word. What I am saying, however, worst patriarchy ever, we have configured things so that women who want to be of low character are bailed out of every bad decision that they make. So for instance,
Going to college is a bad decision?
for instance, this is a point of gamesmanship. There are people who understand that if I am 16 years old and I don't like my parents' rules, all I have to do is get pregnant and I get a free apartment. Yay! I also, because I'm 16 years old, can quit high school. Yay! And then, when I want to
I got
get...
friends in low places.
Does this happen in the United States?
It does.
Yeah, but do
Okay,
most women want
so-
to live like that? Probably not.
I didn't say most. My point is, a 16-year-old who wants a free apartment only has to get knocked up. Can a 16-year-old girl get knocked up? As quickly as she wants to be.
But
now, is there a companion escape route for a guy? If you're
Well,
a
he can't get
16-year-old
pregnant,
guy who
but-
wants to get a free apartment from the government, is there anything so easy to do?
But you're talking about a whole class of people that are the bottom feeders. You're talking about bottom feeders.
And your tax money is set up to flow to those people if they want it. So let me finish. So 16-year-old gets pregnant, gets a free apartment, quits school. Then, when she's 21,
but
hold
taking
on,
care of a
let me
child.
finish. When she gets 21 and decided she does not want to say, would you like fries with that anymore? And oh, by the way, because the kid is now hitting 4 or 5 years old, the current welfare situation says you either have to get a real job or go to school.
college.
Okay, so we're going to pay for you to go to college. You can take basket weaving 101 if you want to, but we're going to pay for you to go to college and we'll keep giving you welfare money. Now, 4 years later, damn, I either have to get a job that pays back the balance of my college loans, you know, over and above what
Well,
they gave me for free.
If they're
Or I have to find a new college program to get into, which I can keep recycling this every 4 years.
But I think that's not a common occurrence. I do not believe.
My
it's a
question
common
is it
occurrence.
possible?
It's possible. But
Do
it's,
people do it?
But it's.
Can a man do that?
Not in the United States.
But why?
in
Why would
Norway.
you want to?
I'm just saying, is it available? Worst patriarchy ever? Because we are not giving it to the men and putting our foot on the neck of the women the way people say we are.
So what were you going to say, Inessa?
I was trying to say that I spent 4 days in Norway and I have a friend there. I stay there. So he is using, in Norway, in Bergen, he's 53 years old. And Norway lost a lot of tourists, especially Bergen, after the COVID. And he lost his job. He was a tour guide and the driver. So now he goes to the college every year. He goes to the university. He studies there. In the end of the year, he will fail his test, and then he will go to another college program. And he is living off their Norwegian welfare pretty good. He's single, he's 53, so it's possible for a guy to, but not in probably in the United States, but
Not
in
in the United
Norway, it's
States.
socialistic country.
Well,
Yeah, socialism for
That
sure.
is why, guys, when I first came to United States, it was 2007, I had deja vu, that I felt that I came back to the Soviet Union.
tell us why.
Yeah, you
why?
came here and it reminded you of the Soviet
Yes.
Union. Okay.
Because regulation, school system, library system, all the fairs, I don't know, it was kind of like a gut feeling. I don't have it anymore because I used to American way of living, but, you know, like first impression usually the right one. And I see I see that America is going to socialism more and more, deeper and deeper every year.
You think that's a good thing?
I can't tell it's a good or bad because it's always two sides. Every coin has two sides. For example, people always asking me, what was the life during the Soviet Union? And I tell them it was good and bad. For example, my father was a coal miner. I lived in Donetsk region, Makeevka, Avdiivka, where the war going on right now. And my parents, because my father was a coal miner, my mom worked there, they met. The government gave them apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, and they're for free. They didn't have to pay anything for that. So their utilities was so little money, so it was fine. My father was in the union, and every year my parents had a paid vacation from union for 1 month. And union will give you pay for your trip, pay for you can buy the trip, and the union will pay 90% for that trip. You pay only 10%. And you're responsible only for your travel tickets and some pocket money. My parents sent me to their pioneer camp on the Azov Sea every year for free. After I graduated high school, it was not high school, it was secondary school. It doesn't matter, 10 years. And I got my master degree for free. I actually could have 2 master degrees for free. It was no homeless people during Soviet Union. It was no homeless kids. It was 0 unemployment. It was a group of people, they call them bums.
Bums?
Bums, the beaches. It's like but they choose this lifestyle. And it was a charge for the, if you don't want to work, they will put you to work. If you fail to attend your job, you will be sentenced to 15 days community work in jail. You will do community work. So it was a 0 unemployment. It was no homeless people. It was homeless animals a little bit. It was 0 unemployment. It was no drug problems. Alcohol, yes, because Iron Curtain protected Soviet people from their cartels. And of course, when Soviet Union collapsed, all the drug cartel, all the drugs came to the huge market. But God is good because together with the drug cartels, the border was open for the missionaries. And in 90s, it was a huge revival in Ukraine. Yes, a lot of missionaries came. They set churches, Protestant churches, and the people were accepting Jesus Christ like thousands.
But under communist leadership, this was?
No, this is when it
Soviet
fell.
After it fell.
Yes,
Okay.
after it fell,
Yeah.
1991. I'm a product of missionary work in Ukraine. I accepted Jesus as a personal savior 25 years ago. Of course, it's like, again, each coin has 2 sides. It was, the life was good, it's predictable. People had people were not afraid of the future, but it was no freedom of speech. For example, the engineer will make 200 rubles per month, okay, engineer's salary. Levi's jeans, they will cost on the black market 200 rubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say 200 rubles isn't much.
So you wouldn't really have an opportunity to buy special things. You just had necessities. Is that?
Everybody, the people are people. They wanted nice clothes.
Yeah.
they will buy some good things from the speculants. Speculant, we call them the speculant who will sell something on the black market. And $1 cost 66 kopecks during Soviet Union. It was an artificially maintained currency, but in reality, $1 will cost 4 rubles, and it was a charge. You can be sentenced or charged if you sell currency, dollars or something else, funds, pounds, or doesn't matter if you are buying or selling. They can press charge against you. With Gorbachev, we got the freedom of speech, of course.
Yeah.
So it was a good and bad things. It was equality. See, everybody was equal. everybody had the same salary, living in the same apartment. For good furniture, you have to wait in line for 5 or 6 years before you got good furniture. Of course, if you have a connections, see, it was made by purpose. People were so preoccupied where to get furniture, how to get a refrigerator, how to buy Levi's jeans.
So they kept your brain busy while they.
Yes, so they don't care about politics. They had a sessions after
They wanted
session.
the refrigerator.
Yes, Communist Party. They made a session, and nobody cares. Everybody making jokes about communist leaders, but people were too preoccupied where to find nice shoes. Of course, in the big cities, it was Soviet camp. Like those Yugoslavia, Germany, Western Germany, Poland. So in Moscow, you can go and you can have specialized stores like malls where you can buy some pretty interesting clothes.
Yeah.
But in the villages, it was just necessity.
I knew a guy from Russia, and two things he said to me was, if you're in Russia and you see a line, you get in the line. You don't know what's at the end of the line, but you get in the line because whatever's at the end of the line, you just get it so that you can trade it to get something else. And one of the funniest things he said was, yes, they pretended to pay us and we pretended to work.
Unfortunately, it created a generation of people who didn't think that their well-being depends on them. But in Ukraine, in the 2000s, the situation has changed. They did a lot of marketing research and statistics, and in Ukraine by their 2000, it was about 59% of people who said that they think that their well-being depends on themselves, and only 41% of our population, they still believe that their well-being depends on the state. And only when more people think that their well-being depends on them, not the state, it's where the economy will grow. And unfortunately, that is why I had a deja vu, because here in the United States, more people think that their well-being depends on the state, not on them. And that is why it's going to be a more socialistic. America will go to the more socialistic
What
state.
I found
State.
when I lived in New York, my daughter went to public school in Queens. And all of the children that went to that school, besides my daughter, were from another country. There were no other American children in that school. So my daughter learned a different mentality because their parents were very strong on education. They wanted to make sure that their children could get educated and be independent. So I really lucked out because in America, the children in the schools, they're always trying to get away with things. Instead, my daughter was busy trying to stay at the top of her class so she could stay with her friends. And it was really an eye-opener for me because, well, I went to Catholic school when I was growing up. So I had discipline and I had to do the work whether I wanted to do it or not. But for my daughter, she learned this work ethic of people from, well, South America, India, there was a boy from Poland, all these other countries, and these kids had very strong work ethics based on their parents. And I don't know what happened in this country, but even when I was growing up, in my blue-collar neighborhood, education was not valued. You were supposed to grow up, get married, have children, take care of those children, then they're going to have children and you're going to be a grandmother. That was what was expected. But these kids, and even now my daughter's still in touch with some of the girls. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, and they all have fine educations and they still have great work ethic. Good.
Can I share my observation too? When I came to the United States and I I was observing how you raise boys and how you raise girls in this country. So in the United States, when you have a boy in the family, the boys, they're supposed to do chores. Yep. They can go to work, they can start earning money since they are 12 or 9 even, if you work on the farm. And the parents will never buy the boy some new car. It will be clunk and junk, and there's this boy, poor boy, he will have to work and pay his parents back this money. And when you're 18, you're supposed to live by yourself. You don't depend on your parents. And the girls is different. Oh, you are my princess. Here are your princess shoes. Here are your princess bed. You don't need to study. It's okay to buy. When girl has a car, new car, first car, it will be nice car, new, or almost new. It's okay for the when parents they paying for their daughter's house, or like they will give her money for the down payment. They will make a payment. They will even pay tuition in the college, not for the boys. In Ukraine, it's opposite. In Russia and Ukraine, in the cities, see, like it happens after the World War II. It was a shortage of men, and the boys in the cities, they were put in the pedestal. And when in Ukraine, especially in the cities, not in the villages, if you have a boy in the family, you don't have to know how to cook. You will get married, and your wife will cook for you.
Well, that's how they're taught here too.
It just, it's not everybody, but it's just in general. You don't have to know how to clean your house. You will be married and your wife will do this. You don't need to do laundry. You will be married and your wife will do this. And a lot of men in the cities, they will go from mothers or grandmothers to the wives, to second wife, a third one, and then back to the mothers sometimes. And if you are a girl in a Ukrainian family or Russian family in the city, this is how I was raised. You need to work hard. You have to have your master's degree or your college degree. You need to find a good job because you will be responsible for your kids, sometimes for your husband too, because it will be time that you will have to take care of him. That is why Ukrainian women and American men are a good match, because we have the same values.
Well, when I lived in New York and I was married and my husband didn't work, I was glad I had that experience because I know what it's like to be head of household. A lot of women don't, and so I know what that's like. And, you come last all the time. You always come last. And so
it's, of course, everybody is different. Every situation is different, but it's in majority. And I noticed that the wives, they cheated more frequently than the husbands here.
Here?
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that.
It's about opportunity.
They're just better at hiding it and lying about it. Men brag about their conquests.
Because when the score is 5-70,
Wow, 70.
Keep going, James.
The majority,
the girls have the 70, by the
Yes,
way.
I understood.
American guys are more family-oriented, more trustworthy. And in Ukraine, Russia is opposite. If you are a good-looking guy in Ukraine, for example, and you drink moderately, like modesty, and you make some money, you can have 2 or 3 women. You can have a wife and 2 lovers.
Oh, I'm
Easy.
moving. Wait for it.
We're setting up the tourist plane now.
Well, I
I'm
don't
just
know.
kidding.
I have to say that everyone in my experience, do you understand the when you call a man a dog? It means that he's running around. He's running around with other women. That's when he's a dog, right? So I have dated many dogs.
Oh, yes.
Most women have.
Actually, yeah, we call the same, but it will be male dog.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is the dogs are the ones who are getting the women. The rest of the guys are on the sidelines saying, "What about us?"
I guess I don't know. I know I have a different perspective because I guess, not that I have any, I'm not a man, but I'm a masculine thinking woman because I've always been independent. And I've always taken pride in being fiercely independent. And I didn't, and I think that changes things. I never wanted to, because my mother's situation, my stepfather was such an animal, I watched her and she had to stay with him because she couldn't leave because of finances. And I always thought, that's not going to happen to me. I am going to take care of myself, and I will never put myself in that situation. So, I can see, I have known women who want to be taken care of by men. I've known women like that, but I don't relate.
Well, the thing, though, is the thing that most women today have been taught by their mother is make sure that you have an education and a career because you cannot depend on a man. And so you become the man you want to be and look for a man who's better than you. And the problem with that is, statistically speaking, women want a guy who makes 160% of whatever they make. So the more money a woman makes, the more difficult it is to find the guy that meets that criteria. And the guy who meets that criteria is probably not interested in her.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I do know when I lived in New York, a lot of the women that worked in business where I worked, they were looking for somebody who was handy, somebody that could, knew how to use tools.
Yeah.
Because they would have loved to have dated a construction worker or somebody who was able to work with their hands and had that mechanical sense. because that's what they lacked in their life.
These days, girls go on Tinder, find that guy, have him do the project that they want done, and send him back out while they still look to see if
Tinder's not a great place to meet women.
I'm not saying it is. What I'm saying is,
Yeah, right.
What I'm saying is, women today in America have this really messed up way of thinking. They're not looking to build a family. They're not looking to have a regular guy. They have this strange idea that they're all 10s, and they're not. Here's a crazy thing. Ask a group of women, how do you rate Lizzo? And they're all going to say she's very confident. Is she a 10? She's a 10. Okay, if I gave you a pill that would make you look like Lizzo, would you take it? And they all go silent. Because you just lied. Lizzo is not a 10. So the thing is, they're not looking to get together with a guy who is on their level and build a lifelong relationship that gives you children and generational anything. They're just looking to try and monkey branch their way up to somebody like Jeff Bezos so they can divorce him and have half of his empire.
You have such a very, very bad image of women in general. I don't think women in general are like that. I don't. I mean, I know there are women like that, but I also know there are men who are assholes too.
Nobody disagrees with the
Right.
statement when men are assholes. But when you say that there are women who are assholes, suddenly you're a misogynist.
No, there are women who are assholes.
Thank you for saying that.
I'm not a misogynist. I mean, I really like women for the most part.
And so do I.
There are women I wouldn't want to have coffee with. I don't like. Why would I like every person who just happens to have a vagina? That makes no sense.
Yeah, no, I don't. So.
It's interesting you say that because the thing is, if you even look at the situation with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, the judge went out of his way in both cases to give something to Amber Heard she didn't deserve. The first judge literally said, the evidence you have presented seems to make your case, and I'm siding with Miss Heard. The second judge said, okay, I'm looking at the evidence here, and I'm going to give you, Johnny, $10 million, but I'm going to fine for her in the amount of $3 million for something your lawyer said during the case, and I'm going to call that slander. How in the hell can I be held responsible for something my lawyer said during the case, but I got to pay $3 million?
I watched the whole trial, and they gave her money. The judgment she got was for the emotional abuse she suffered from Depp, who was high on fucking cocaine to the moon every day and on drinking bottles of whiskey. And he was kind of violent, maybe not to her directly, but he's always smashing shit and screaming at her and treating her like a piece of shit. So they figured she deserved something.
But the court decision specifically said that she was getting money for slander, which the statement that they called slander was made by his lawyer during the case.
Okay.
Which
Yeah, I
makes
remember something about that.
Yeah,
fucking sense.
I didn't pay close enough attention to that because it didn't interest me.
But I wanted to disagree with something that Nessa was saying. I never took money from women my whole life. I've worked my whole life. No woman ever supported me. My mom has 5 brothers. Their wives, none of their wives ever had a job. My uncles made tons of money in business, and their wives played golf with their girlfriends. All my guy friends I graduated from college with, none of them have ever been supported by a woman. They all worked. They all made their own way in the world like I did. I don't know anybody like that.
So what
I'm
you're
sure
saying is
they
not all
exist.
men
Meet
are
my
like that.
ex-husband.
Well, I'm sure they exist. I know they do, but
Yeah, I know.
but American men.
But it wasn't even that because
themselves.
I made that decision because we were banking on him becoming successful as a musician because he was extremely talented.
Well, he was an artist, and musicians are crazy. I've been with 2 of them, and they were insane. I'm serious, and they were both women violin players, and they're amazing musicians, but they were nuts. And I said, no more female musicians
Okay,
ever.
we're
If you tell
running-
me you're a musician, you're out.
Well, I always tell everybody, don't date a drummer or you will be carrying drums.
Drummers are nuts, man. They are crazy.
But anyway, we only have 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Richard, do you have anything quick on your list we could do? Because I know we really went off on a tangent here.
There's a new telescope in space called the Euclid telescope that can see farther than any telescope has ever seen.
Yeah.
They found a section of the universe that has 100,000 galaxies. Each one contains 1 billion stars.
Wow.
So when you look at this, how does it make you feel, knowing this information?
I feel how big is my God is.
I am
It makes me believe in God, Richard.
yeah. It makes me I
Bingo.
love
Ding.
I do this mental thing where I picture myself in where we are now, and then I just keep going out and out and out and out and out and out, and here's the world, and here's this, and I feel so insignificant and minuscule that it's like,
Yes.
why is it even a thing? Why does this even matter? And then I think about all these wars and all these tragedies that are happening to people, and I think, oh, we're so fucking stupid. We're so stupid. What's wrong with us? Why don't we just enjoy this little planet we're on and love each other?
It's simple.
We probably have the most amazing planet for trillions of miles, but we don't appreciate that.
No, I try to. I try to keep in mind every day how beautiful everything is and how much I should be appreciating the fact that I'm alive and I'm able to experience it. It was, every one of us is a fluke. Every one of us is.
But you're a beautiful fluke, Paula.
I'm a beautiful
So is James,
fluke.
and that's
But yeah, how does it make you feel?
Like you, small and insignificant.
Yeah. Yeah, I just,
And I thought everybody would think that way, but I showed it to a few people like Brian, and he immediately thought of theology.
yeah.
You know.